And today we are going to be canning peaches. Now I'm not going to be making peach jam today. What I'm going to do is slice the peaches and pack them in quart jars and then pour over a simple syrup and then water bath can them. Now I have 20 pounds of peaches that I'm going to be working with today. I live in Florida, and just over the last 10 or 15 years, they have started to grow what's called the Florida freestone peach, which is really yummy. And we enjoy going out and picking peaches every year for the past couple of years. Before that, we would have to wait, until summertime to get our peaches from Georgia or South Carolina, somewhere like that. Florida can be tricky in growing lots of different things, but over the last 15 to 20 years, we've really come to be able to grow a lot of different kinds of fruits and vegetables. Now, if you want to know what 20 pounds looks like, it came in this basket right here. So this basket was full to the brim with 20 pounds of the Florida freestone peaches. Now these peaches are just a little bit different than the regular peaches you're going to get at the grocery store. The peel is actually very, very thin and it's easy to peel. Actually, you can just eat the peel. It's not tough like some peaches can be. And a lot of times in processing, if you're making peach jam, you can go ahead and do the peel right on in there. But for these jarred peaches, I'm going to go ahead and take the peel off. So the first thing I'm going to do is to throw them in some boiling water for about 3 to 5 minutes. Then I'm going to dunk them in some ice water to shock them into their peels falling off, is what I'm told. And then go ahead and peel about 18 to 20 peaches. What I'd like to do is to fill about 4 of these jars, and then I have a couple smaller ones as extras. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll share with you all my supplies. Growing up here in Florida, one of my favorite times of year was summertime when you got a ripe, juicy peach. It was divine. But during my son's childhood, it's been really difficult to find those super good peaches. But when I was a kid, I'd be going out with my grandparents, and we'd visit their place in Alabama during the summertime, and visiting places where we could get really fresh peaches. So a lot of times it depends on where you're getting your peaches from, if they're not hard, mealy, and just don't taste very good. So honestly, until we found out about them growing peaches in Florida, it was really difficult for us to find good peaches. And I didn't start making peach jam until a few years ago as well, because it was difficult to find really good peaches. So we've discovered some peaches here in Florida, several groves that have them. And again, this is the Florida freestone. They make a white peach as well, which is very good. We found several farms growing them, and I'm hoping that one day I can have one in my backyard as well. But until then, we'll keep picking and keep making lots of different things. So today's recipe, again, we're going to can the peaches sliced in these quart jars. I hope to fill about 4 of these jars. So I'm going to need about 8 pounds of peaches, and that's about 20 peaches depending on their size. And these are, I have a few big ones, but they're relatively medium-sized peaches. And we're going to show you how to do that on the stove. Now, as I cut them, I did sprinkle them with fruit fresh, which is sort of a citric acid. You could use lemon juice if you wanted to, because we want to preserve the nice, beautiful color. We don't want them to turn brown in the jar. So I did sprinkle them as I cut them. This is from Ball. You could use any kind of jarred citric acid. You could use lemon juice as well. Anything to help preserve that color when you're slicing them. Now the freestones are a little bit different in slicing because their peel is different. So mine aren't gorgeous, beautiful slices, but they're slices just the same. And I just love to see fruit in these jars, and honestly, when my boys open a jar, they're going to eat the whole thing right there. My anticipation is to be able to use them for eating, and as well as if I wanted to make a cobbler or a pie even, I would have these on the shelves. Now in another video, we're going to show you how to make a peach cobbler, how to freeze peaches, and also how to make peach jam. But today we're just concentrating on the sliced peaches. So we're going to cut up all the peaches and let's get ready to do that. Since we have a whole bunch of peels from our peaches, I wanted to go take the chickens a nice treat. They'll love having, these peaches, sliced peaches. So let's go see what they're up to. Hey girls, how you doing? How you doing, sweet girls? I got a treat for you. Would you like a yummy treat? Let's get a yummy treat. Girls! Girls! Come get your treat! There she is! I got some peaches for you! Oh, yum, yum, yum. Come on, Rosetta. Come get some peaches. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. Enjoy. These are gorgeous. We have quite a number here. I probably have more than I'm gonna do, but we'll go ahead and start with what we have. I went ahead and sprinkled some. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of the citric acid on the top to help preserve that color. And the next thing we wanna do is sugar. So I have a stock pot, and what I'm gonna do is add 1.5 cups of sugar to the stock pot. And to the stock pot, we're gonna add 8 cups of water to our 1.5 cups of sugar to make our syrup. We're gonna bring this to a boil, and then once we've done that, while it's cooking, I'm gonna pack our jars full of the peaches, and then we're gonna pour our syrup over that. So let's get started over at the stove. Our syrup is melting over there on the stove, so while that's happening, I'm gonna go ahead and fill our jars. So I've washed the jars, I have sterilized the jars. It's okay that the jars are wet, they're nice and warm. Washed my hands thoroughly, and now I am just going to take the peaches that I've sliced and I'm going to pack them down in the jar. Just filling the jar. Oh, they're so beautiful. Now with all canning, we want to leave a head space in there. That's a lot of peaches. And I'm not quite sure how many jars I'm going to actually get out of here. I think that's going to be good for this one. So I'll put that one aside. So I have extra jars and I have more peaches that I can do. I'd like to get 4 quarts is what I'd like to get, and feel like I have some stashed away. Now I will put some in the freezer, and I freeze peaches in 2 different ways. The first way is I chop them up like this and I put them in a freezer safe Ziploc type bag. There we go. And label it for the year and put them in the freezer. The other way that I freeze peaches is I go ahead and add some sugar. Now if I have time, I could do it one of 2 ways. I could go ahead and do a simple syrup, like if I was gonna make peach cobbler, because that's what I'm freezing the second batch for, is for cobbler. So I wanna go ahead and put sugar, have that sugar melted, about 3/4 of a cup of sugar to 4 to 5 cups of peaches, and go ahead and freeze them that way and label it as peach cobbler. So when we're ready for a cobbler, I just have to go to the freezer and bring it out and let it thaw out overnight. If it's not enough, if I didn't have, it takes really between 4 and 6 cups of peaches, depending on how big of a cobbler that you want to make. And so if you need extra, I always keep a can of sliced peaches in heavy syrup in my pantry. That way if I need to add that, I can, because having that syrup is what gives that nice crispy crust on top of your peach cobbler. All right, so I have 2.5 jars. So I'm gonna go cut some more peaches and get this jar filled, and we'll come back and fill them with our syrup. All right, I got a few more peaches done. Now when you're peeling your peaches, you wanna make sure you get the peel off. And if there's any bad spots in the peaches, you want to take off that bad spot. You don't want to have any bad spots in your peaches, in your canned peaches. You don't want any reason for anything not to process well or turn the rest of them brown. So you want to make sure that the slices you're putting in are nice and clean without blemishes. All right, so I end up with 3 1-quart jars and 1 pint. And I think I'm going to take this to my in-laws because they'll love some fresh peaches. So I'll process this and take them over some supper later on. All right, so I'll put a few more. I'll finish these. And our syrup is about ready. So I'll go get that and we'll fill the jars. So this is the sugar and the water. The sugar's dissolved, it's boiling, it's ready to ladle up. We are ready to go. In my pot is my simple syrup, which for 2 quarts was 1.5 cups of sugar to 8 cups of water. And what I did was I kind of halved it again so I could get a little bit more out of it. So that's what's in here. And our simple syrup is hot. We're going to ladle the hot syrup into the warm jars. We're going to put the lids on, and then we're going to do a water bath for 30 minutes. If you haven't done a water bath before, I'll show you how to do that. But that's what we're going to do with these, and then we'll have a finished product. So I'm going to ladle I'm going to ladle the liquid into the jar. Now for head space, we do want to leave a 1/4 inch headspace. We want to make sure that all of our fruit is in the liquid. And I also have a rag here because we want to make sure we get anything left on the rim of the jar. So we don't want any syrup or any fruit on the rim of the jar. I'm going to make sure that's clean. Then we're going to put our lid on and screw it on. And that's jar number 1. Now we're going to go on to another one. Jar number 2. A funnel would be nice. So let me go get my funnel. All right, I've got my funnel. Sometimes when you have so many things going in the kitchen, you forget a couple essential tools. And to me, a funnel is an essential tool. I use it for way more than canning. All right, we're going to get that syrup above the fruit. And we are going to leave about a 1/4 inch headspace. Headspace is important. All right. Wipe the rim. Put on the lid and the ring. Jar number 2. I do have enough fruit to do another quart jar, so I will do that so that I have my 4 quarts. Then I'll have an extra to share with my in-laws and give them a nice treat with some fresh peaches. And the last one that I'm going to do right now, I have to prepare the water bath. And again, I'll give you a little tips on that and show you how that's done. And we'll come back and show you our finished jars after they've been processed.